Alright class, let's go ahead and go over these notes. Please make sure you read the top portion. I may refer back to them as we do these examples. Also, how to divide rationals. Please make sure you read over these as well. So let's start off with a multiplication. So we have 35x cubed over y times y to the fifth over 14x to the seventh. First thing we want to do is we want to cancel what we can before we multiply. So remember, this is the same thing as 35 times x times x times x. And this is y times y times y times y times y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because that matches the exponent. And so we have 7 x's here, and we have 1 y here. So before we do anything, we want to go ahead and cancel some things out. So this 1 y will cancel one of these y's out. Okay, so that leaves us with y to the 1, 2, 3, 4th power. Now we have 7 x's here and 3 here. So we can cancel 1, 2, 3 x's. So if we subtract 3 from 7, that's going to give us 4 x's down below. So we'll have x to the 4th. Okay, 35 and 14. Is there any number that goes into 35 and 14 evenly? That's right, 7. So I can take a 7 out of both. I can reduce this fraction. 7 goes into 35 5 times. 7 goes into 14 2 times. So notice there's no variable left here, so it's just 5. This changed to y to the 4th. This became a 1, and we have 2x. Now we can multiply. So multiplying, we multiply straight across. So 5 times y to the 4th, 1 times 2x to the 4th. And there's your answer. Okay, looking at the next one. The next one, before we can cancel, we have to factor where we can. This one is the difference of two squares. That's a perfect square, that's a perfect square. So that one's going to immediately factor to x plus 5 and x minus 5. So when you're doing a difference of two perfect squares, one factor is positive or has a plus, one has a minus. The square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of x squared is x. Okay, factoring the bottom one. We just got done practicing this in class. So what two numbers multiply to give us negative 15 and add to give us 2? That'd be 5 and negative 3. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 5 plus negative 3 is 2. Now remember, that only works when the a value is 1. Otherwise you have to use the x. Okay, multiply. Is there anything we can factor out of both of those terms? That's right, a 5. So if I factor 5 out, 5 goes into 5 one time, so we have 1x. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Okay, now that everything is factored, we can start canceling. Okay, this is referring back to number 2 step. Cancel one numerator and one denominator. So x plus 5, do we see that in the denominator anywhere? Yes, right there, so they cancel. X minus 5, do we see that in the denominator anywhere? No, so that does not cancel. X minus 3, yes, so that cancels. Okay, you should also see that the 5 and the 25 can reduce. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 25 5 times. So the only thing left in the numerator is x minus 5. We don't need the parentheses because it's the only thing in the numerator. And then 5 goes in the denominator, and we're done. Okay? Next one. I'm going to go ahead and leave that for you to do on your own. I'll check that on Monday. All right, number 4. Now we're dividing. So back here, the rules on division. We have the dividend divided by the divisor. Okay, and here are the steps. It says take the reciprocal of the divisor and change divide to multiply. Okay, so we have 25x cubed over 3y. Change divide to multiply, and we're going to take the divisor and change it to its reciprocal. So the denominator goes to the numerator goes to the denominator. Now we're back to a problem just like number 1. So let's go ahead and cancel some things out here. Let's start here with the x cubed. So that's x times x times x. So we have 3 x's on top. How many x's do we have on the bottom? 2. So we can cancel out 2 x's on the bottom. That leaves us with, if I take 2 away from 3, that leaves us with 1x on the top, x to the first. Now we have a y on the bottom, and we have 3 y's on the top. So we can cancel 1 on the bottom. So we got to take away 1 from the top. That gives us y squared. Okay, so those are done. The x's and the y's are done. Now we have 25, 3, and 10. Well, I can't think of a number that goes into 25 and 3, but I can think of a number that goes into 25 and 10, and that would be 5. So I'm going to take a 5 out of both. So taking a 5 out of 10, 5 goes into 10 twice. 5 goes into 25 5 times. So I just reduced that. It's called cross-reducing. Okay, so that leaves us a 5 on the top, a 3 on the bottom, a 2 on the bottom, and now let's multiply. Multiplying straight across, we get 5xy squared over 6. And we're good. Okay, so here we go. First stays the same. Second one, we change division to multiplication, and the divisor flips. So we get x squared minus 25 over x squared minus 3x minus 10. Now, if you look at the directions right here, take the reciprocal of the divisor. Okay, here's the divisor if it's in that form. There's the divisor if it's in that form. Okay, take the reciprocal of the divisor and change the divide to multiply. That's what we did. Now we follow the rules from above. So factoring. Again, notice, been nice to you, the a value is 1, so we don't have to worry about doing the x factor. We can just think of 2 numbers that multiply to give us 6 and add to give us 5. Okay? Now, when we have 2 terms, we look and say, well, what can I take out of both terms? Or what goes into both terms evenly? So we know that 5 goes into both of those evenly. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Okay? Difference of 2 squares. Do you remember from the other side how to set that up? 1 is plus, 1 is minus. The square root of x squared the square root of 25. Got to recognize that. Difference of two squares. All right, let's factor this one. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. Two numbers that multiply to give us -10 and add to give us -3. You think about that for a little bit, but I think of 5 and 2, and the difference of those two is 3, so I just have to think about the sign, and it's going to end up like that. Okay? All right, so now let's do some canceling. Starting here, x plus 3. Anything? Yep, right there. Good. X plus 2. There it is. Okay, keep going. X plus 5? Nope. X minus 5? Yep. So that leaves us with x plus 5 on top and 5 on the bottom. Now that sure does look familiar. Almost the same. Not quite. All right. And I will leave number 6 for you. Hope you're having a great weekend.